In the last lesson, we had that nice table of conversion factors. 1 mile is 5280 feet and so on. I want you to have that out, please, because we're going to be referring to that table in this one. So anyway, last time our theme was if you wanted to convert something, you would use multipliers and you would make it so, let's say you had 1 mile and you were trying to convert to feet or something. Well, let's make it 2 miles, a little more interesting. And then you would look up a conversion factor that said 1 mile is 5280 feet. And so the whole idea was get the miles to cancel, and you've got feet. So in this case, it's 2 times 5280 is whatever, 10,560. And it's a really nice method, and I hope you like that method because it's going to be really useful to us today when we start converting rates. What's a rate? A rate is when you have a two number or kind of a one on top of the other. So this rate, 180 feet per second, is actually, you could expand it sort of to say it's 180 feet for every 1 second. That's called a rate because you have basically a ratio of two numbers that have different units. The idea that they have different units is what makes it a rate instead of a ratio. But anyway, we're going at a rate of, and of course we always think of rates as moving right along the road there, so 180 feet per second, that's our rate. Now what we're trying to do is trying to say, well, how many miles per hour is that? So notice that what's different in this lesson is we're going to need to convert the feet into miles, and we're going to have to convert the seconds into hours. We got lots of stuff going on. So it's we saw that you could do a 2-step or a 3-step. Sometimes when it's rates, you're going to be multiplying all kinds of stuff out of here. Let's see. Let's get to miles first. So I'm looking up. It says 1 mile is 5280 feet. So remember how to write that. 1 mile is 5280 feet. And you write it that way because what you want is for the feet to cancel. Good, the feet canceled. So if I were to just do this, just divide by 5280, notice I would have a number that had units of miles per second. Well, we don't want miles per second, we want miles per hour. So we keep doing things. We say, well, now I'm going to have to cancel the seconds out. So another multiplier here. I want to get to hours. Maybe I'll just use the fact I know that 1 minute has 60 seconds, right? So that cancels the seconds. One's on top, one's on the bottom. They cancel, and gets me to minutes. But then I'll have to get to hours. So remember that 1 hour has 60 minutes in it. Minutes cancel. And so what survives in terms of units is I've got miles here, that never got canceled, and I've got hours, and that never canceled, so I've got miles on top of hours. That is miles per hours. Beauty method. Beauty method. Now on the calculator, nice shortcut. You take the 180. I see a 5280 on the bottom. Okay, divide by 5280. I see a 60 on top. Okay, times by the 60. I see a 60 on top. Okay, times by the 60. And just see what that is. Where's my calculator? There it is. Okay. So I got a 180 divided by a 5280 times a 60 times a 60. Boom. But it's just about 122.7 miles per hour. So actually you're booking. If you're going 180 feet per second, yep, you're making some time there. 122.7 miles per hour. Wow, I didn't think it was that high. It is. The math doesn't lie. Here's another example. This time we've got miles per hour, and we want to get to meters per second. So the miles are going to have to get turned into meters somehow, and the hours have to get turned into seconds. Well, again, here's how you proceed. First, it's a rate, which means it's one number on top of the other. In this case, it's 30 miles on top of 1 hour, right? 30 miles on top of 1 hour. And we're on our way. Now, I'm looking at miles. I'm looking at my sheet here. I got 1 mile. I can turn that into kilometers at least. That's pretty good. I can do that. 1 mile is 1.609 kilometers. And then I can turn kilometers into meters because it also says that 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. So again, you got to be looking up these conversion rates on that table. You get used to the table after a while. The more you use it, the easier it's going to be to use it. So let's keep track of my units now. My miles have canceled. My kilometers have canceled. And so I have meters, which I would like to have meters, so we'll leave that alone. But now I got to talk about these hours down here. We don't want hours, we want seconds. So you do the old 1 hour is 60 minutes, and then 1 minute is 60 seconds. So now I've got the hours canceling here and here. I got the minutes canceling here and here. Seconds survives. That's what I want. I got meters on top, seconds on the bottom. I'm golden. So on the calculator, you go 30. You multiply by the 1.609. Notice I'm just reading as I go. What do I do now? I multiply by 1,000. Okay, cool. What do I do now? I divide by 60. Okay, cool. What do I do now? I divide by 60. Okay, cool. And then you just do that all the way across. So what do I got here? 30 times 1.609 times 1,000. Divide by 60. Divide by 60. Boom. How fast are we going here? 30 miles an hour is the same as about 13.4 meters per second. So what have I got? I got 1, 2, 3. I got a 4. That's not so bad, I guess. I had to multiply 4 times to make my conversion. So again, canceling units is your friend here. Let's see. You want to try this one yourself? Try this one yourself. Now, kph means kilometers per hour into feet per second. Pause. Come back. Okay. So this is 80 kilometers for every 1 hour. It's a rate. It's a number on top of another number where these two numbers have different units. That's the definition of a rate. So anyway, 80 kilometers over 1 hour. That's how we get started. I would like to get to feet, please. So you look up on that table. Where are we here? Kilometer. Do I have kilometers to feet? No. I got meters to feet. I got meters to feet, so that's what I'll do. I'll go kilometers to meters first. So 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters, and then the 1 meter is 3.2808 feet. Cool. So the kilometers canceled here. The meters are canceling here. I got my feet. I want my feet. I got my feet. Cool. Make the hours into seconds. So I got hours on the bottom, put hours on the top, and an hour is 60 minutes, and then a minute is 60 seconds. So the hours cancel the hours, and the minutes cancel the minutes, and the seconds are left. So that's the units of my answer. It's over seconds. And what am I doing here? I'm doing 80. This says times 1,000. This says times 3.2808. This says divide by 60. This says divide by 60. Here we go again, folks. So 80 times 1,000 times 3.2808 divided by 60 divided by 60. Boom! I said boom. Here we go. 72.9 roughly feet per second. It's good to be able to make your conversions like this. The old cancel the factors method. It's great. Now, of course, we're heading towards like surface areas, volumes and stuff. So it's time we do some area conversions. What do you say? What do you say? Now, there's some area conversions that are just, we can do them the old-fashioned way. For example, 1 acre is 43,560 square feet. It's just a number. If you're civil, you might have that memorized already. It's kind of like 3, 4, 5, 6, except the 4 got pushy. Get it? Anyway, 1 acre is 43,560 square feet. There's a thing called a hectare. I think they use these more in Europe, but maybe they're starting to use them. Well, Canada, I suppose. Maybe they're starting to use them around here too. I don't know. A hectare, abbreviation HA for hectare, is actually what you get when you have 10,000 square meters. But practically speaking, it's almost 2.5 acres. A hectare is almost 2.5 acres. Not quite, but almost. Okay. So let's just do an example with these acres and hectares and things. So we got this rectangular lot. It measures 800 feet by 600 feet. So usually most people know this formula. If you're 800 feet this way and 600 feet this way, and I asked you the area, you multiply the length times the width, right? You do that. So 6 times 8 is 48, and I have to put 4 zeros on here. And that would be square feet. Now you can say square feet like this. Well, like this, square feet. You can abbreviate the square to SQ and the feet to FT, or you can abbreviate it really nicely if you put an exponent on the foot. So it's like square feet. So however you say it, we got 48,000 square feet. Let me write that down. 48,000, I'm going to write it this way because it's shorter, square feet. Now, we're trying to get to acres. Oh, there's your conversion. It says 1 acre is that many square feet. I need square feet to cancel, so I guess 1 acre goes on top. 43,560 square feet go on the bottom. So again, the square feet's cancel. That's good. Acres survives. That's good. So take your 48,000. That's a lot of square feet. Take your 48,000, divide it by a 43,560, and what I'm looking at here is that it? Did I do this right? That's not 48,000, it's 480,000. That's better. I knew it was more than 1 acre. Okay, so anyway, here we go again. 480,000 divided by 43,560. Boom, that's better. That's so much better. It's about 11 acres. It's like 11, I think they give you acres to 3 decimal places, don't they? So this would be 11.019 acres. Wow, that's pretty big, 11 acres, cool. Now if you wanted hectares instead, well heck, you already got the acres, you might as well convert them to hectares. So I'll take my 11.019 acres. You want to be a farmer? Here's a couple of acres. Anyway, does anyone know the movie reference? Anyway, I got 2.4711 acres is 1 hectare, abbreviation HA. So actually now I divide by that 2.4711, divide by 2.4711, boom. And it looks like it's about 4. If they want 3 decimal places, I guess I'll give it to them. 4.59 hectares. Does that seem about right? Let me do that again. 11.019 divided by 2.4711 equals, yeah, 4.459 hectares. Okay, so that's how you can get from square feet to acres or to hectares. Probably get to acres first is kind of nice. So those are some standard area measurements. If you're in civil, you'll use those. Now, when we're doing surface areas and volume exercises later in the course, we're not just going to be playing with plots of land. We're going to be playing with all kinds of things. So sometimes smaller units come up, not just acres, but like, well, here's square feet, but we want to convert it to square inches. Okay, let's convert square feet to square inches. Now, it says careful with these. What did I just do? I erased something. Okay, it says careful with these. And I do mean careful with these. I'm going to slow down a bit here. I've noticed this is a part that seems a little difficult for people to kind of get. We have 4 square feet, so maybe I'll write it this way. 4 square feet, and I'll put that over 1. Now, you know that 1 foot is 12 inches, right? You know this. So 4 times 12 is 48, so it must be 48 square inches, question mark. What is wrong with this picture? There is something very, very wrong with this picture. Wrong. So wrong. Give me yellow, will you? Give me wrong. Here's the problem. Did we cancel units? Did we cancel units? This is units of feet. That doesn't say feet. That says square feet. That says feet squared. What's feet squared? Well, back up a second here. I'm just going to erase that because that's not right. That's not right. Back up a second here. 4 square feet. Well, a foot squared is kind of like that. A foot times a foot. You know, x times x is x squared. A foot times a foot is a foot squared. A square foot. So really, you would have to do this. You would have to say 1 foot is 12 inches. That cancels that one. But then you would also have to do that again. 1 foot equals 12 inches in order to cancel the other foot. So you have to multiply by 12 twice. And so what is this? It's 4 times 12 times 12. 4 times 12 times 12. We're ending up with 576. Now that's more like it. 576 square inches. Now that's just one way of looking at it. Is remember, a square feet is a feet squared, which means you've got feet twice. And you have to cancel the foot is 12 inches, but you have to cancel the other foot is 12 inches. So you end up multiplying by 12 twice. Okay, that's one way of looking at it. Here's another way of looking at it. I like this way better, but whatever. If you have a square foot, what that actually means is it's 1 foot on this way and 1 foot on this way. It's like a tile. It's like a square foot tile. It's 1 foot on each direction. Well, that 1 foot by 1 foot tile, if you measured in inches instead, it would be 12 inches this way and 12 inches that way, right? So I wanted to draw these the same size. Really, I did. So anyway, what's the area here? Well, the area here is 1 times 1 is 1 square foot. And the area here is 12 times 12 is 144 square inches. So in other words, 1 square foot equals 144 square inches. And that's what you get, of course, when you multiply the 12 times the 12. You get 144. So try to keep this kind of a picture in your mind, okay? A foot square is a tile. It takes up 1 square foot of space. But if you wanted to know how many square inches you could put, now a square inch tile is a much smaller tile, right? It only measures 1 inch by 1 inch. Turns out you could put 144 of them on top of there because you can measure 12 this way and you can arrange 12 this way and you fill it in, you get 144. So keep that in mind, please, okay? I cannot tell you how many times I see this mistake. They just multiply by 12. And it's like, no, it's a square foot. You can't just multiply by 12. You have to multiply by 144. You have to multiply by 12 squared. So this is the third way I do it. No, not that color. Give me a color. Give me a color. Give me a color. What's a good color here? I'll go with this one. Okay, here's my official way of doing it. I will go like this. I will go 4 square feet. Fine. And then I will go like this. 1 foot has 12 inches. And then realizing that I only canceled one of the feet, I say, well, I have to square the top and the bottom here. See? Square the top and bottom. So now I'm making sure that square feet really are canceling square feet. I'm going to have square inches when I'm done. And that's a 12 squared. So 4 times 12 squared, which of course is the same thing as doing this. 4 times 12 squared, you get your 576 square inches. Okay, so I wanted to take a lot of time and explain that out because, like I say, it's a sticking point. You don't want to get stuck on that sticking point. Try not to get stuck on that sticking point. If you want to test whether you're really understanding this, then try this example real quick. It says 700 square inches. How many square yards is that? Just as a helper, 1 yard has 36 inches. Pause. Come on back. Okay, so I've got 700 square inches. Put that over 1. Now I know that 1 yard has 36 inches. But once more, my goal is not to cancel inches. My goal is to cancel square inches, and inches and square inches don't cancel. They're not the same thing. I need to cancel square inches, which again means 1 inch times 1 inch. So what I can do as a shortcut here is I can say, okay, square the 1, square the yard, square the 36, square this. In other words, 1 square yard has 36 squared square inches. What I'm doing is I'm taking the 700, timesing by 1 squared, doesn't do anything, and I'm going to divide it by, not by 36, but by 36 squared. Okay, so notice the inch squareds is canceling the inch squareds, and I'm going to be left with a yard squared, or a square yard. So, okay, let's do it. So 700 divided by 36 squared, boom. It's not even 1. It's 0.540-ish. Let's use a real pen. What do you say? It's 0.540-ish square yards. Because a whole square yard would have to have 36 times 36. What is that number, just out of curiosity? 36 times 36, boom, 1296. An entire square yard would have 1296 square inches. We've only got 700, so it's less than 1. Turns out it's 0.54. Okay, well, if you're liking this, if you're grooving on this, okay, then you should be ready for volume, which is going to be pretty much the same thing. And I think that's all I got to talk about today, right? Yep. So we're going to do some volume conversions again. So first, let's start with the normal stuff. This is a useful fact that we're going to need now and then, that a gallon is 231 cubic inches. I'm wondering if that's exact. I want to say it's exact, but I've never seen 231 point anything, so I'm going to assume it's exact. Anyway, a gallon is 231 cubic inches. So let's answer this question. There's a fish tank, and I made this up, but let's say you got a fish tank that measures, and let's assume these are inside dimensions, right? That measures 12 inch by 10 inch by 18 inch. So how many gallons is that? Well, the volume, and I'm pretty sure everybody here has seen this before somewhere. You take the length times the width times the height, and that's how you can get the volume of a cube brick. It's not a cube, it's a kind of a brick shape. And so our volume here is, you just have to multiply these three dimensions together. So I'm multiplying inches times inches times inches. That gives you inches cubed, or cubic inches. 12 times 10 is 120. Multiply that by 18. Boom. 2160. So this is 2160 cubic inches. Okay. And we want gallons. So we grab this here conversion factor that says, okay, I got 2160 cubic inches. Write that down. Put it over 1. Here we go. 1 gallon is 231 cubic inches. Cubic inches are really canceling cubic inches. We're left with gallons. Take your 2160, divide it by 231. Boom! You got, it's almost a 10-gallon tank. That came out to a 9.35 gallon, assuming you filled it right to the tippity top. So I guess a 10-gallon tank must be a little bit bigger than this. Huh, that was close. Anyway, it's a 9.35 gallon interior volume there. So that's one way you can do volume conversions. Sometimes you have to do it this way, and this is another one of those. Careful with these situations. I got cubic feet. A cubic foot, what's that? That's what you take when you make a cube that measures 1 foot, 1 foot, 1 foot. That's what a cubic foot is. Cubic yard, what's that? That's when you take, you make a big box that measures 1 yard, 1 yard, 1 yard length, width, height. So a cubic feet is how many cubic yards? Well, keep in mind that a cubic yard is going to measure 3 feet on each side. And so 3 feet on each side is telling us right away that 1 cubic yard is 3 times 3 times 3 is 27 cubic feet. So we could just go ahead and use this as a direct conversion factor. But you got to keep in mind when you're doing this, you go like this. You go 160 cubic feet, put it over 1, and you know that a yard has 3 feet, right? Just keep in mind that's not good enough. You can't say that you're canceling feet with feet cubed. Feet and feet cubed are not the same thing. A foot is measured on a straight line. A cubic foot is a big old box, right? They're not the same thing. You can't say they're canceling. But we can use this conversion that we just figured out that says 1 cubic yard is actually not 3, but 27 cubic feet. We can do it that way. So 160 divided by 27, what is that? 160 divided by 27, boom. We've got just about 5.93 or something. 5.93, almost 6 cubic yards. 5.93 cubic yards. Okay, cool. Okay, so figuring out that 1 cubic yard is 27 cubic feet is a great way to do this. A lot of times, though, what I'll do instead is I'll just kind of write it this way. I'll say 160 cubic feet over 1, and then I'll go like this. 1 yard is 3 feet, and then realizing that I can't cancel feet into cubic feet. I say, oh, I got to cube it. So as long as you cube everything here, it actually, mathematically, it works just fine. So now I can cancel cubic feet with cubic feet. A 1 cubed, of course, is still a 1, but I'm left with yards cubed, which is what I wanted, cubic yards. And this 3 cubed, of course, is a 27. So you could say 160 divided by 3 cubed, and you get exactly the same answer, 5.93 cubic yards. Okay, you will see me do that from time to time, and so I wanted to introduce that idea. Come to think of it, I might be doing it on this problem. So let's kind of go like this. Here's a nice kind of a practical problem. 442. Do you remember a car called a 442? That meant it had 442 cubic inches of displacement, right? Right. Nowadays, they don't tell you the cubic inches of displacement. We're all getting all metricized. So now they tell you, oh, it's a 2-liter engine, or it's a 2.5-liter engine, or it's a whatever it is. So let's just figure out a 442. How many liter engine would that be these days? So what we do is we want to say, okay, let's convert 442 cubic inches into liters. Now the thing is, to get to liters, you can't get from an inch cube to a liter, but remember, liters are linked to measurements of length through the cc, through the cubic centimeter. In fact, 1 liter equals 1,000 milliliters. Since a milliliter and a cc is the same, it means 1 liter is the same as 1,000 cc's. So we're going to use that fact. Meanwhile, we'll have to convert the inches into cc's, which means cubic centimeters. So, tell you what, let me move this further down, and let me get a different color going. How about there's not that many good colors, is there? I'll just stick with green. So anyway, 442 cubic inches. There's our starting point. I would like to somehow get the inches into centimeters. And if you look on that paper, you'll say, well, 1 inch is the same as 2.54 centimeters. Again, careful. We don't really want inches, because inches do not cancel cubic inches. We want cubic inches. So I'm cubing the 1 just to make it official. That'll become cubic centimeters. I'm going to have to cube the 2.54. That's the actual big important thing right there. Get back to green. That'll get me to cc's, and then I can bring in this little fact that says 1,000 cc's. Again, a cc means cubic centimeter is the same as 1 liter. So what have we got here? On our calculator, we will need to take the 442. We will need to multiply by a 2.54 cubed, and then divide by 1,000, and this will give us liters. So a 442, how many liters is that? 442 times 2.54 raised to the 3 power. I like to hit my equals. And then say divide by 1,000. Boom. Wow! Ha! That would be a 7.24 liter engine. Oof, you don't see many of those around. Of course, that had 8 cylinders. I wonder if that was total displacement. Anyway, that had 8 cylinders. This, nowadays you got 4, you got 6 if you're lucky, right? So anyway, 7 point. Wow, I'm freaking out. But that's a good place to end our thing for today.